I wanted to do a video regarding how intelligent people believe what are, for the most part, completely insane conspiracy theories. Some of them were, and first I'm going to go over how. Okay, one of the things with intelligent people is they like to draw conclusions based on what fits common sense. Okay, one of the funnier ones is something like vapor trails are popular now. So when somebody starts off by saying, "Well, isn't it interesting? Geothermal engineering or terraforming." Okay, people like me have been talking about terraforming for many years. In fact, there's a popular politician by the name of Lyndon LaRouche that talks about weather control to make the world better, to make it more suitable for human life. Okay, now what happens is then you get somebody like Alex Jones that'll go, "Well, isn't that interesting? They're talking about cloud seeding." Cloud seeding, okay? What's cloud seeding? The putting of dry ice in clouds to cause them to condense and fall to the ground as rain. Okay, but then it gets taken to another level where they might have seen an article about using, say, titanium dioxide to reflect solar radiation back into space, which has not been done as far as I know. But there might have been suggestions of this as a means to control global warming. And I want to point out, I do not believe in global warming. I believe global warming, man-made global warming, is absolutely hysterically, that is a form of fear-mongering, like conspiracy theory fear-mongering, okay? But the point is, what happens is intelligent people like things to make sense. They like everything to be nice and orderly, and the real world doesn't have cut and dry realities. One of the other things that's funny is the concept of a Freemason conspiracy. Now, it's not, that alone is not crazy, because the United States, everyone knows that the Freemasons did play a very important role in the formation of the United States of America, the drafting of our founding documents, and all that. I highly doubt, however, that a great number of Freemasons still run the United States government. The reason that this makes sense, though, is because people want to believe that there's a reason for the craziness going on. But what they don't understand is what Freemasonry is actually about. Many people don't even know about Freemasonry, although what's funny is, for a secret society, Freemasonry does have pretty much all of their ideas available to the public, as long as you're willing to look. Now, there are other breakaways of Freemasonry, such as the Bavarian Order of the Illuminati, which did not last very long. It was disbanded. Now, that was founded by a gentleman named Adam Weishaupt, who was then, encouraged to disassemble the Illuminati. Then you have, say, Skull and Bones, which is another breakaway of the Bavarian Order of the Illuminati. Now, what's funny about that is, yes, rich people congregate, but it's not necessarily a skull and bones conspiracy so much as it is an elites conspiracy. Now, this being said, what's interesting about this is people like to, again, presume that, well, if rich people get together and plot world destiny, then it must be a secret society. But it's not as tight-knit as people think. This tends to cause confusion from real-life conspiracies. Now, one of the funniest quote conspiracies, because it's not a conspiracy takes place in secret. So if these things are conspiracies, they're very bad conspiracies because they're not very secret. But the one is Zionism and the Zionist control of U.S. and other politicians. Okay, that is very open, but it's very straightforward with how they're doing this. They're doing this with money, and originally they did this with blackmail. Okay, there's an excellent book called The Hidden Tyranny, which people can read, but you will find out the Zionist conspiracy is not connected to Freemasonry. It's not connected to Skull and Bones anymore. Well, it is in some ways, if you want to say, well, George W. Bush did the bidding of the Zionists. Yes, but it's not connected directly to Skull and Bones or the Bavarian Order of the Illuminati, etc. But what happens is conspiracy theorists, which become fearmongers, look back and they'll look for anything. Adam Weishaupt. That sounds like a Jewish name. Therefore, he must be Jewish. He must be a Zionist. Yada da da da. Then you see another thing that's interesting is you'll see people go, people that worship Adolf Hitler or worship the fascist founders or worship Juan Perón. Somebody had pointed this out in the comments section. They'll go, well, Adolf Hitler and Juan Perón said Freemasons are behind everything bad in the world. Okay? Well, other people say Jesuits are behind everything bad in the world. And other people say this, and other people say that. Well, the thing is, just because somebody said that does not mean they have any more proof than anyone else. And then what happens is the conspiracy theorist puts themselves in their own little world where anybody that disagrees with their worldview is part of the conspiracy, or is a tool of the conspiracy, or there's this great conspiracy. And I'm not one that doesn't believe in conspiracies. It's illegal for a conspiracy to exist, as many people might know. There are laws in the United States against a conspiracy to commit a crime. Now, what's interesting about that, people know I talk about mental health. Mental health, the concept of mental health, is a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy that these imaginary concepts, which is what they are, they're concepts that have no ability to be backed up by biological evidence, are real medicine, and that this practice of behavioral health results in positive outcomes for the people that partake of, let's say, talk therapy or medication therapy or these things. The truth is that this is a very real conspiracy, and the outcome is one in which it is very lucrative for the pharmaceutical giants and for psychiatrists and other people to perpetuate this lie to the public that psychiatric medicine works, okay, or that behavioral modification therapies have positive outcomes, or even that these mental illnesses are verifiably true and verifiably exist. Now, what's funny is, again, what happens is the general public knows that people have behavioral health concerns. That's obvious. You can see that. Some people have behavioral health concerns and emotional issues. But then there is a conspiracy to convince people that the practice of behavioral health as a form of medicine is legit when it's not. So what happens is people tend to believe these really out of whack concepts of these secret societies and the Illuminati. Like, you gotta, like, let's use some common sense here. If people think Beyonce Knowles and Kanye West and Kim Kardashian would be chosen by a secret cabal to rule the world, it's insane. I mean, nobody's going to hire a bunch of friggin' morons to run the world. Now, then people will go, well, they sold their soul to the devil, and there's all this, like, supernatural crap going on. It's all kinds of crazy. There's an excellent book, although I caution myself in saying this because I don't want to promote disinformation, but I think a lot of the conspiracy theories that are out there are actually controlled disinformation to cause a state of paranoia in the general public. There's a book written by a guy named Bill Cooper called Behold a Pale Horse. Now, if you read this book, Behold a Pale Horse, my father was a big fan of conspiracy theories, believed in space aliens and all this crap, as Bill Cooper did if you read Behold a Pale Horse. If you read the book Behold a Pale Horse, Bill Cooper, like many conspiracy theorists, was a guy that never found a conspiracy theory he didn't like. Many of them contradict each other. This goes into the moon landing being a hoax. There's gigantic iguanas that are really the politicians. There's, the royal family are all big iguanas from the Dracone star or whatever. It's all nonsense. And what's even funnier is I know by me making this video, I'm going to get comments telling me I'm part of the conspiracy. I'm trying to mislead people. But if people use their common sense, they will see these conspiracies are exactly what I'm saying. They are made to mislead the public. Another thing is a person that I greatly respect pointed out that Freemasons, because they found a Freemason that supports abortion, ergo, they think all Freemasons support abortion. What they do not understand is Freemasonry from the British Freemasonry, which is regular Masonry, which only exists in Great Britain, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Um, does not allow atheists to be members. The irregular Freemasons, which is what everybody else is, do allow, some of them allow atheists to be members, and some of them allow women to be members, which is not with regular Freemasonry. Another thing is, every Mason I've ever met has been a devout Christian. You would be very hard-pressed, in my experience, to find a single Freemason that I'm aware of that would support a pro-choice outlook. I personally am not a Freemason. I have met many Masons. That doesn't make me a Freemason. I have no idea what they do behind those closed doors, and frankly, I don't care. It seems to me to be a bunch of childish nonsense. But for those that are interested, they should look into Freemasonry before they make these ridiculous claims. Just because you can find one person publicly claiming to be a Freemason that publicly is pro-choice does not mean the majority of Freemasons are pro-choice. It means that one person that publicly announces that they're a Freemason is publicly for a pro-choice stance. Okay, and again, most Freemasons in the Western Hemisphere that are regular Masons from the British part, okay, the British concept of Masonry, are devout Christians, and as devout Christians, the majority of them need to be pro-life. And as I said, you would be hard-pressed to find a Freemason, as far as I know, that would support a pro-choice stance. My point is that the conspiracy theorist, or the partaker of these conspiracy theories, inculcates themselves in their own little encapsulated world, where they're kind of like how academics live in a world of academia, where people repeat these crazy ideas, but they make sense amongst this group. But this group does not ever search outside that little encapsulated sphere.